In the world of football finance, you may have seen that there are a lot of regulations around profits and spending and what can and can't happen. Now, to understand that, it's important that you really grasp a few key accounting concepts. The first one of these is amortization. Now, that basically means when you buy a footballer, say for £80 million, you don't expense £80 million in the statement of profit or loss. Instead, you spread that cost over the contract that player has been bought under. So, if that's a 5-year contract, there would be an expense of £16 million a year. Now, a few years ago, Chelsea thought they were being smart and saying, let's give everybody 8-year contracts because that £80 million would be spread over 8 years at £10 million a year. And that sounds like a good plan, although that loophole has since been closed, but it also creates other problems. Because if you've got an asset that's being amortized much more slowly, what happens in 2 or 3 years if that asset is underperforming and you want to dispose of it? Well, then the market value will be lower and you'll generate a loss on disposal. And so football clubs don't want losses on disposal because that will affect the profit they make and therefore the regulations that they have to abide by. So what has happened in recent years is football clubs have sold players from the youth team who have no cost because they've never been purchased, and therefore they're in their balance sheet at a cost of 0. So when you sell them, you have a huge gain on disposal. And that has been a trend that will continue as firms look to stay within these profit regulations. Now, under regulations, the Premier League and the UEFA are also going to look at balance sheets to see the stability of clubs. And there's one thing that is not in those balance sheets that is important that we're aware of, and that is contingent liabilities. Now, a contingent liability is a possible outflow, but it's not in the balance sheet anywhere. It's just something that may occur. And football clubs have hundreds of millions of pounds of these just disclosed based on future payments on transfers they've previously made. And they might be based on winning trophies or making appearances. Now, they are not recorded as a liability, so not included in those calculations. However, that can run into the hundreds of millions and lead to big problems even as firms win trophies. They may end up having to pay out a lot of money for players they've previously purchased. So that's something to look at. If you're interested in football accounts, look at the contingencies note and see just how much that they potentially owe that they might have to pay out in the future.